Hey everybody, gonna do a quick little video. Hadn't done one in a while. Been out of town, been doing stuff, but I reset the bridge on this Gibson LOO, one of my favorite guitars ever. It's a 2016, but we're gonna put this, had a pickup in it, and it's got a saddle that's wobbly and doesn't fit too tight. If you can see that back and forth, let me get it in there maybe. You can see better if I zoom in, but it's pretty loose and it flips back and forth, and of course when the string tension's on it, it leans forward pretty good, which is gonna mess up your intonation, etc. So let me see if I can go back again. There we go. So a quick trick I do, and a lot of people do, to tighten up a saddle like that. It's a bone saddle. Of course, you can make a new saddle to fit tight, which might be optimum, but I'm just going to add a little bead of super glue on the front edge of it. So what I do is I put it in there, take a little blue tape off. So I just kind of tape that off, and that gives me a tape line there where I can glue. I don't want the glue to stick out over the top of the saddle so you can see it. You might also take a little sandpaper and rough up that front edge, but I want to kind of shim, quote unquote, with some super glue and some baking soda the front edge of this to kind of push it back, because we want to get it tight, but we also want to push it in that direction as much as possible, to keep the intonation as good as we can. Usually the issue with most intonation on any acoustic is it gets a little sharp as you go up the neck, so the farther back we can get that saddle to sit, the better the intonation. And that was also some of the problem with, I reset this bridge because it had slid forward. I don't know if it got hot or something, maybe left it in the car, but you'll see that on a lot of acoustic bridges, they'll slide forward, the string tension will pull that bridge forward, and it was lifting in the back. So we pulled it and glued it. So got that on there. I just put a little thin super glue on an old piece of sandpaper here, because that's how I deal with super glue, or you could have pipettes or whatever. Got some Arm & Hammer, good old baking soda, and I'm sure you've done this trick on filling nut slots and things like that, but so I'm just going to put a bead of super glue along the top, just under my tape line. And I want it to be a little too big at first when I try to put it back in there. And then I can kind of sand it off and slowly fit it. But I get a little bead and then sprinkle. Bead and sprinkle. And that'll set right up really fast. And so it should be like too thick, and it's tighter, but I'm going to do another coat, do another bead across there on top of what I just did. Just try to get a nice even bead across there, one end to the other. You can use some accelerator if you want to. Sometimes it's like you do a bead of super glue, sprinkle it with baking soda, it's still a little too loose like it was. And then sometimes you don't have to do the baking soda again, you can just boost it. And that right there, it's a little too, it's definitely way tighter. I want to do it so it's just a little too fat to get in there. And then I just kind of file it off until it fits nice and snug. But, so I got about 3 coats of super glue on there, and now it's nice and tight. Obviously you want to make sure the super glue isn't wet when you stick it in here, so you don't want to glue your saddle into the slot. But that's nice and tight. Now, I may do just a little bit. It's a little loose on this bass side still. but it's tight on the treble side. So I might paint a little more. Give it a boost. That looks good. Everything's dry. I can pull my tape now, which may be somewhat glued, but let's carefully take it off. And now I got a nice, if I can see that, bead of super glue. You can see it there. Just a line, nothing crazy, but that pushes me back that way. Now it's nice and tight, a little too tight. So then I can just take, I got these little sandies I make up. It's just a piece of marble, and I put some 220 and some like 120 or 150 on another side. Just a sandy that I use to like shape nuts and dial things in. Marble's a great thing to get. I got lots of chunks of marble around with different grits of sandpaper, some big long pieces with like 80 grit, you know, sanding belt paper on it that I use for like when I'm building to do fretboards and stuff, to level things, flatten things. So find the marble place in your town and go hit them up for some scraps and just use them as sandy, little sandies. Load them up with different grits and stuff, or you get big flat ones or long straight ones, and it's obviously a very flat and hard surface, so as long as it's a little tight and it takes a little bit of squeezing to get it in there, that's not too bad. But there we go. Just sand that down a little bit. It's got to be careful to kind of sand it flat. Oh, that's nice. All right, so it goes in pretty even. We got a pickup under here, so you don't want a saddle too tight with a pickup underneath it. It can cause issues sometimes. If it's really tight. He's actually having some issues with this pickup where the high E isn't really coming out with the volume of the other strings, which is really common with under the saddle transducers. So sometimes that's an issue of maybe the bottom of the saddle isn't perfectly flat, or you're not getting enough pressure right there on the high E string. So that's when I'll use this sandy, and I might just kind of work the bottom of it in certain areas. Like maybe take a little out of the middle of the saddle so it has a little bit of an arc. These bottom of these saddle slots aren't always absolutely perfectly straight. That's nice. It goes in. It's not too tight, but no more wobble. So see a little bit of that bead there, but not much. But that is super tight now. It's not moving at all. So that's a quick trick you can do to fix up a sloppy saddle. Alright, so that's nice and tight. So that's just a quick trick. I'm sure you may have seen that before. Nothing crazy, but it works really well just to tighten up an existing bone saddle, or even a plastic one or whatever, just to keep it from tilting forward and screwing up your intonation and being loose and sloppy and not sounding very good. So cool. Thanks for watching.